Actor Bradley Cooper is facing backlash for his appearance while portraying composer Leonard Bernstein in upcoming Netflix film Maestro. The movie trailer shows Cooper wearing a fake nose, which social media users have said perpetuates anti-Semitic tropes, and some have called it, quote, Jewface. The Hill reports the organization Stop Anti-Semitism tweeted Hollywood cast Bradley Cooper, a non-Jew, to play Jewish legend Leonard Bernstein and stuck a disgusting, exaggerated Jew nose on him, all while saying no to Jake Gyllenhaal, an actually Jewish man who has dreamt of playing Bernstein for decades. Sickening.
Let's take a look at some of the first teaser trailer for the film.
Are you itching to move?
No, I'm not.
Good.
Actually, at all.
I'm thinking of a number.
Leonard Bernstein's children have responded to the backlash Cooper is facing, saying it, quote, happens to be true that their father had a nice big nose and Bradley chose to use makeup to amplify his resemblance, and we're perfectly fine with that. I think that should be the end of the discussion, Jessica. If the family doesn't have a problem with it, they don't feel it's anti-Semitic, they just feel like Bradley Cooper is doing what he needs to do to properly blend into this role, then that should be enough. I'm so tired of people getting offended on other people's behalf when the so-called victim in this scenario doesn't have an issue. It just seems like people online are constantly rage baiting, looking for something to be angry about, and they love to use these divisive wedge issues like race and gender in order to get themselves clicks and attention and pretend that they're doing good for the world because they don't actually have real lives in which they do things for other people. They just go online and try to get brownie points from literal strangers on the internet.
It's interesting to think about the children's involvement in this. Are they getting some kind of payment from Netflix as a result of the film being made in his father's likeness and resemblance, or their father's likeness and resemblance? I'm not sure. Is this something that affects more than just the family and affects the Jewish community as a whole? Sure. If you are Jewish and this offends you, I think your feelings are valid. I think, the children can't speak for the entirety of the Jewish community. I do think it's an odd choice on probably not Bradley Cooper's part, but probably who does makeup and who's the director of the film, to put a nose on Bradley Cooper that's larger than it appears Bernstein's nose was in real life. I don't know if that increases his ability to play the role of someone by making the nose not only bigger than Bradley Cooper's natural nose is, but bigger than Bernstein's is. I don't know what goes into hair and makeup or what, but it seems to me that they made the nose bigger than Bernstein's, which is just an odd decision, in my opinion, if you're the director of the film. So yeah, folks finding this to be anti-Semitic, if you're Jewish and you've been bullied for having a large nose, if this upsets you because during the Holocaust, it was a directive to find people with larger noses and they were Jewish, and this evokes the kind of hard feelings about that history and how it affects your family. I totally get it. Like, you have every right to be upset about this. Is it something that I think is worth the media's attention and time for the larger historical conversation beyond amplifying the voices that are upset about this and having that very real conversation? Should people who are Jewish or members of a certain ethnic community only be played by those from that community? I think that's a conversation that's worth having in media, actually. And I'm not even sure where I land on it, because there have been a lot of people that have played roles in Italian mob movies that have done really good jobs that I'm sure did not grow up in an Italian-American family. Am I, as an Italian-American, terribly offended by this? No. Do I think an Italian-American probably could have done a better job? Yes. But people in Hollywood are motivated by who is a famous actor and who can draw that audience as well.
Yeah, and also sometimes somebody is just better suited to play other things associated with the role that don't necessarily have to do with their background or their ethnicity. I mean, there's obviously places where the line should be drawn. I don't think it's appropriate for a white actor to don blackface and play a black person. But there's a lot of cases where things are sort of more ambiguous, and it's part of acting, part of the profession, to be able to play somebody who doesn't necessarily have the same background as you. And if we take that artistic license out of movies, out of TV shows, I think we're going to be worse off for it. I also am not sure we have the best direct comparison there of Bradley Cooper with the prosthetic nose on and Leonard Bernstein, because I've seen it from a couple of different angles where it really doesn't look as exaggerated as that particular photo did, and it does look closer to Leonard Bernstein's likeness. But we'll see what happens when the movie comes out. I believe that Bradley Cooper actually has a role in producing the movie as well. So my guess is he did go to the family to get permission to play the role and to have this prosthetic put on his face. And I think that's the respectful, responsible thing to do when you're portraying a real life person. I have way less sympathy for any offense that's taken when these situations happen with literal fictionalized characters. And there's this really unfortunate trend in some left-wing communities online where they actually accuse people of queer baiting by taking parts as, like, for example, straight actors taking parts that are LGBTQ plus community members, and they've actually outed some people unintentionally by doing that. There was an actor who was a little bit more small time. He's sort of a B or C list actor who was in a television show, and he was playing a bisexual or a gay character, and everyone believed that he was straight, and it turned out that he was actually bisexual, but he wasn't ready to go public with that information yet. And so he was essentially bullied by these online fans of the show or the movie to out himself before he was ready. And so I think we need to be very careful in thinking about the consequences of berating actors for doing their job when they may not necessarily be a member of the community that they're supposed to be representing in this fictionalized version of these stories.
Yeah, I think the Hollywood strike happening right now, the SAG-AFTRA writers' strike as well, when you have all of these actors saying we have witnessed decisions made on behalf of art that we really believe in and we participate in producing, decisions made that cost the art from being as good as it could possibly be simply because the studio wanted to either cut costs or do the thing that would earn the most money. I think having Bradley Cooper cast in this role, was he the best person to play this role, or was he selected because he's a really big name? Was he selected because they thought the movie would bring in as much money as possible? And I think that very real problem of directors picking actors simply because they already have a following and are so famous rather than picking the person who's best suited for the role is getting in the way of really good movies and shows from being made. And there's a billion other problems caused by them putting profit above making the best piece of art possible. But this is certainly one of them. And I think a more interesting part of the conversation than just the people who are not members of the Jewish community who are outraged by Bradley Cooper wearing the prosthetic nose when the family say it's okay. I think probably only the Jewish community can be upset about that. But I think everybody who consumes art can be upset about decisions being made so that the studio and directors make as much money as possible at the expense of the best piece of entertainment being made. And so I think it's a good time for the actors and writers to be on strike. I'm curious what they think about this production as a whole, especially that the production is going on despite the strike happening as well.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a different scenario because Bradley Cooper is in fact the director of the movie, and he also wrote the screenplay with Josh Singer. It's produced by Bradley Cooper, Martin Scorsese, and Steven Spielberg. So I don't think in this case Bradley Cooper was chosen just because he's a big name, but because he literally created the movie by himself. That does it for us today on Rising. Thank you so much for tuning in. Jessica, I can't wait to be back with you this time next week.
Yes, back again next Friday. Everyone be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're now available wherever you listen to podcasts. Bye, y'all.